Hello and welcome back to the next part on the marriage document study. Today we are going through animal passions, and this is also credited to Bible Impulse for the study notes. And just before we begin going through this, we see a video and we see the mouse near the like button as per usual. Hover it over the bottom right of the video. You see the gear sign, click that. You see playback speed. Scroll down and you see 1.75 or times 2. Click that, it'll make the video go faster. And this is because my speech is usually pretty slow. We have some gaps and pauses. It might be annoying to listen to. So I'd advise speeding up the video so that you'd still be able to hear what I'm saying properly. But a lot of the gaps and pauses and stuff, you'll be able to basically skip and you'll hear me just fine. It'll be more bearable to listen to. Anyway, continuing on. Animal passions. Warning: the following study contains topics that may be a stumbling block to Christians. Viewers' discretion is advised. Please pray and ask God to guard your thoughts before proceeding. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 13. Meats for the belly, and the belly for meats, but God shall destroy both it and them. Now the body is not for fornication, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. Porneia is a Greek word that essentially means illicit sexual activity. It is a general inclusive word for any kind of sexual immorality and occurs about 25 times in the New Testament. And you guys can pause and see this picture here on the right of it. What is the market size of the adult and pornographic websites industry in the U.S. in 2021? So I think this study where it took notes of it was in 2021. So keep that in mind. The market size measured by the revenue of the adult and pornographic websites industry is 803.6 million in 2021. And you guys can see a picture here for reference. You can look at this picture as Sodom and Gomorrah. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom: pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. Pride, appetite, and animal passions. Idleness. This is seen in the Pestilence 19 issue. If you guys remember that event a little while back anyway. You guys can pause and look at these screenshots if you like, but I'm just going to continue on. Exodus chapter 32 verse 5 to 6. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and to drink, and rose up to play. Sport. Israel committed spiritual adultery. That's what it meant by rose up to play. I think my fan is on. Let me just turn this off real quick. This type of playing wasn't some normal kind of play. The drinks they were having were drinks they could get drunk on, like fermented grape juice. They were doing things they shouldn't be doing, like worshiping a calf and being naked around people in their surroundings. This shows they were doing more than just quote unquote eating and drinking. As you can see, the evil they did caused the Lord to have a righteous indignation. Exodus chapter 32 verse 7. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. As Moses came down from the mount, he could see the people committing spiritual idolatry. This can be in relation to Jesus, who's in the heavenly sanctuary right now, who can see his people doing the same thing, committing idolatry and adultery. Remember, all of God's people are married to Christ spiritually. So when we choose to have a relationship with another entity or even yourself over him, that's cheating. That's adultery. Basically, again, in short, to understand this, is basically putting someone or something over God. Something or someone over Christ. That is basically idolatry. And by doing that, you're also committing adultery. Note, Moses breaking the tablets the first time when he came down from the mount was significant. This was not by accident, but to fulfill a prophecy. When Jesus came and died on the cross, the first covenant was done away with, and there was a new covenant that was written on everyone's hearts. Basically, a promise that through Christ we can keep his commandments by faith. I should have added that. By faith. Okay, continuing. So when Moses broke the tablets, he broke the covenant and God gave him a new set of them. They were basically the same. What Moses did basically shows people is how people are acting when they sin against God, breaking the covenant. Okay, one more thing before I continue on. Just to be clear, when God made the covenant again, it was the first covenant. What was wrong with it was that the people, when they answered to God about it, they said that they will do it, meaning that they were intending to live by God's commandments, basically without God helping them to do so. But when God remade the same covenant as the second covenant, the promise was different, where God says that he will basically help his people to keep the commandments. So if they have faith in God, they can keep God's commandments. And of course, you guys can learn more about how that's done in the series of the Understanding the Nature of Man. Anyway, continuing on. This also shows the covenant isn't just written in stone, but written in our hearts. A quick thing, which is also in the Understanding the Nature of Man, but just in case people don't know what it means to have the commandments written in our hearts instead, is that basically the commandments is second nature to us, right? So when people like have a list of things to do throughout the day, right, they'd usually go and have it written down, and they'd commonly look at it and be like, okay, this is what I got to do done, this has got to be done, and so on and so forth, right? But when it's in your hearts, basically what that means is that list that you're looking on, you don't even need to look at it anymore because you just do it by default. It's a part of your character. It's something you remember yourself to do. Like, it's so a part of you that you don't even need to look at the paper anymore to remember these are the things you need to do. So when the covenant, the 10 Commandments, is written in our hearts, it's us abiding in faith in God, keeping his 10 commandments by faithful, loving obedience without needing to try to remember, oh, I need to keep this commandment. Oh, I need to not do this and not do that. No, you just don't do it, period. Of course, you know why you shouldn't do these things. I'm not trying to make it too confusing, but just so you guys get the point of what I was trying to say earlier. Continuing on. Matthew chapter 24, verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Appetite and passions. This is people indulging in things they purposely consume, which we were told not to consume, and can be harmful to the body. And passion is basically talking about adultery. Leviticus chapter 21, verse 9. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father. She shall be burnt with fire. Priest, head of the home, or Jesus Christ. Daughter or women, representing church. This next slide is still for women too. Dr. David Horobin, an MD and uh, PhD from Oxford University states, quote, the amount of zinc in semen is such that one ejaculation may get rid of all the zinc that can be absorbed from the intestines in one day. This has a number of consequences. Unless the amount lost is replaced by an increased dietary intake, keep that in mind, the dietary intake, repeated ejaculation may lead to a real zinc deficiency, with various problems developing, including impotence. It is even possible, given the importance of zinc for the brain, that 19th century moralists were correct when they said that repeated masturbation could make one even mad. Zinc, VitaBooks, St. Albans, Vermont, 1981, page 8. This statement is similar to that made by Carl C. You guys know how to say that? In his book on zinc, he declares, we hate to say it, but in a zinc deficit, you guys know that word, adolescent sexual excitement and excessive masturbation might precipitate insanity. Zinc and other micronutrients. Keats, New Canaan, Kahn, 1978, page 45. All right. The results of self-abuse. Females possess less vital force than the other sex and are deprived very much of the bracing, invigorating air by their indoor life. The results of self-abuse in them is seen in various diseases such as catarrh, dropsy, headache, loss of memory and sight, great weakness in the back and loins, affections of the spine, the head often decays inwardly, cancerous humor which would lie dormant in the system their lifetime their lifetime is inflamed and commences its eating, destructive work. The mind is often utterly ruined, and insanity takes place. And this is from a book called Appeal to Mothers, which I did not add into the section for biblical parenthood, but I will have that for the chapter 1 and the last chapter in the description, and hopefully I remember to add those in there. Okay, continuing on. Foundation laid for various diseases later in life. If the practice is continued from the ages of 15 and upward, nature will protest against the abuse she has suffered and continues to suffer, and will make them pay the penalty for the transgression of her laws, especially from the ages of 30 to 45, by numerous pains in the system and various diseases such as infection of the liver and lungs, neuralgia, rheumatism, you guys know that word, affection of the spine, diseased kidneys, and cancerous humors. Some of nature's fine machinery gives way, leaving a heavier task for the remaining to perform, which disorders nature's fine arrangement, and there is often a sudden breaking down of the constitution, and death is the result of it. Child guidance. Page 444. 4 harmful effects of self-abuse. Number 1, masturbation leads to mental, moral, and physical deterioration. It is not the stimulation per se that is wrong. It's what's going on in persons when they're becoming self-referenced and self-centered. Number 2, masturbation breaks down the finer sensitivities of our nervous system. It is not difficult to see in terms of the electrical mediation of our nervous system how disease becomes a natural result of individuals who have placed their own gratification at the center of their being. Disease is the natural result of this. Number 3, masturbation is a position that can be inherited and passed on and transmitted from one generation to another, even leading to degeneration of the race. Number 4. In dealing with others, especially children, Ellen White's counsel lies in the direction of dealing with the consequences of showing them that we should be training for love and eternity, not self-gratification with its terrible consequences. Dr. Nyes concluded his paper, Self-gratification is synonymous with destruction. Mark chapter 13, verse 12. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and the children shall rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death. Children will want to continue in sin. Again, you guys can pause this picture here, and you can see how this is being referenced to what we just went through. All right. Education, chapter 33, cooperation. In the formation of character, no other influences count so much as the influence of the home. The teacher's work should supplement that of the parents, but is not to take its place. So a teacher should not be taking the place of the parent's role. Unfortunately, a lot of parents in the world basically are making the teachers take their role. Anyway, in all that concerns the well-being of the child, it should be the effort of parents and teachers to cooperate. I think that's supposed to say appeal. If she feels that she must submit to the animal passions of her husband without a word of remonstrance, she does not understand her duty to him, nor to her God. Sexual excess will effectively destroy a love for devotional exercises, will take from the brain the substance needed to nourish the system, and will most effectively exhaust the vitality. No woman should aid her husband in this work of self-destruction. She will not do it if she is enlightened and truly loves her husband. 1 Corinthians chapter, I think that's 7, verse 4 through 5. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. When couples defraud the other of sexual intimacy, that person who is defrauding is giving an invitation to sexual immorality. This doesn't mean the other spouse should go through with it, though. Defraud. You guys can see here that means to swindle, rob, deceive, dupe, double cross, trick, fool, con, bamboozle, rip off, etc. Okay, continuing on. So basically, to cheat, rob, double cross, etc. This is why one spouse could end up masturbating. Again, though, they shouldn't go through with it. And then can go a step further to actual fornication and with someone that's not the spouse. Jesus did not enforce celibacy. Those who regard the marriage relation as one of God's sacred ordinances, guarded by his holy precept, will be controlled by the dictates of reason. Jesus did not enforce celibacy upon any class of men. He came not to destroy the sacred relationship of marriage, but to exalt it and restore it to its original sanctity. He looks with pleasure upon the family relationship where sacred and unselfish love bears sway. Chapter 18 of Marital Duties and Privileges. Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. We were made to be social creatures. Patriarchs and prophets. After the creation of Adam, Every living creature was brought before him to receive its name. He saw that to each had been given a companion, but among them there was not found a helpmeet for him. Among all the creatures that God had made on the earth, there was not one equal to man. And God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him." Man was not made to dwell in solitude. He was to be a social being. Without companionship, the beautiful scenes and delightful employments of Eden would have failed to yield perfect happiness. Even communion with angels could not have satisfied his desire for sympathy and companionship. There was none of the same nature to love and to be loved. Be wise. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 25. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible, including intimacy. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 24. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled which I cast out before you, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. What were these abominations? Unlawful sexual relations. Number 1, thou shalt not lie with sister and mother, etc. Number 2, moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife. Number 3, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination. So no man and man, no women and women. Which of course goes against the whole LGBT alphabet nonsense. Sodomy. Yeah. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech. Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. And number 5, thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. In other words, it's Babylon. Genesis chapter 9, verse 22 through 26. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his 2 brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done unto him, and he cursed the Canaan, and he said, Cursed be Canaan, Ham's son. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. What is the root of all lusts? Romans chapter 7, verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, had I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet. What is the root of all lusts? Continuing on. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. We have Jesus. To many of us, he just isn't enough. Maybe, just maybe, something else is our idol. Lacking the fruit of patience. 1 John chapter 2, verse 15 through 16. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, and the love of the Father is not in him. So just to clear that up, because I probably didn't say it properly. The love of the Father is not in those who have a love of the world. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. Mortify therefore your members, is talking about this spiritually, which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, you guys know that word, and covetousness, which is idolatry. We have to learn to be content / okay with what we have. Learn to protect your kids from watching things they shouldn't, not in an extreme way, but a loving way. And then the next study will go into the next part, which is the feelings of or faith unequally yoked, with some notes taken from Pastor Doug Batchelor. So I'll see you guys next time.